Welcome to the first episode of Rokutalk. Oots! Thank you and welcome to Rokutalk, the L5R show where we talk about all the recent L5R news and break it down for you along with Kotei reports. Today I'm Ryan Rocket and I am your host, and a little bit about me. I'm a Cascade judge in Double Lion Hatamoto. Joining me to my left is going to be Steven Didion. Tell them a little bit about you.
Been playing since Gen Con, and I was the Crab Hatamoto from PAX Unplugged. I won 11-0, won the Grand Kotei, and at Worlds I was the Crab Challenger and got to make the Crab World choice for this season.
All right, and on my right we have Alex West. Why don't you give a little intro on yourself, buddy?
I play Scorpion. I'm not Hatamoto. Hopefully will be someday. But I've done a bunch of events, and you can find me at, probably half of the Koteis and Grand Koteis in the U.S. East Coast region.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Today we're going to start by breaking down a little bit of L5R news. To the left on the screen, you're going to find our list of stories we're going to be talking about today. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. Today we're going to go and get started with the Elemental Cycle and the first 3 packs previewed up on the L5R websites with FFG. A lot of really new cards coming out, and we're just going to go ahead and get started into it. Are you guys good to start?
Yep.
Awesome. We're going to start by talking about the first card, or the first pack, Breath of the Kami, and one of the newest cards coming out in it, the Lion Clan Stronghold. Just first of all, what do you guys think on it overall, or we should probably talk about what it does, huh? Let's go ahead and start with that. We're going to give a breakdown of it. It's +2 Province Strength. It is 9 Influence, 7 Fate, and 11 Starting Honor. So it's 1 less Starting Honor than the base Stronghold and 1 less Influence. It has the reaction. After you win a military conflict by 5 or more Strength, ballot and sacrifice a friendly Bushi you control, or a friendly Bushi, you may take an additional military conflict this phase. So what do you guys think of that overall with first initial impressions?
I think it's really strong. To clarify, it gives you a 3rd challenge. So you get both the original political and military conflict, and then a second or 3rd conflict overall, 2nd military. I think relative to their prior Stronghold box, I think it's quite possibly stronger. And I think we're probably going to see a lot of the new Lion cards kind of take advantage of the new Stronghold and see it maybe a different archetype with it. But I'm pretty impressed. I think it's balanced, but I also think it's stronger than their existing stuff, which is good for Lion.
What do you think, Steven?
So obviously the effect is a very powerful effect. An extra conflict, potential for an extra break. It pushes the aggro theme that Lion was kind of... It felt like they were kind of sort of working towards early on. The odd thing, though, is the choice of the condition for it, because out of Core Set and the first... Core Set, really, the first cycle was kind of rough for Lion. But out of Core Set, Lion definitely felt like they wanted to be a little guy's swarm army. And their box, the original box, while it wasn't great, it did kind of reinforce that with being able to just get really, really big with a lot of guys. And now it feels like we're pushing, they want to be more of the big guy to win big. So I like the Stronghold. I think it's good. It's also interesting that it lowers their starting honor, because Lion being more honorable is a theme that's been being pushed. And now they're not starting more honorable than other people. So we'll have to see. I'm curious to see what the community is going to do with it when it gets out and starts seeing on mass play. But I think it'll open up a new avenue. I just think it's kind of mixed in what it wants to do versus what Lion as a whole wants to do right now.
I definitely agree with that. I think a big part of it for me is going to come down to the way that the clans in the Lion matchups work. I would definitely say it's very strong against, clans like Scorpion and Crane, but I would argue that the box is almost unusable against clans like Dragon and Crab. Clans that you more or less are never really going to be able to get more than 5 strength then. And it makes the box almost a dead stronghold. But, overall, I think it's going to be an interesting stronghold, open up a lot of, like you said, avenues of play. I'm kind of excited to see that.
I think it'll be strong in Swiss because you're not necessarily seeing, depending on what the meta shakes out to be.
Right.
But
I think
if you get a meta that's very military heavy, especially if Crab or Dragon stays in the meta strong, then it's going to be rough in a top cut with that box.
I totally agree. I think that the other stronghold trades better with those strongholds. The core set one trades better with the other ones because the Crab stronghold is, giving massive bonuses to kind of stop.
Sure.
So, interesting how it breaks down. So let's go ahead. We're going to move on to the second card of the set. You guys tell us what you think of the new Lion Stronghold down in the comments below. And, we'll start a conversation about what you guys think. We're going to go ahead and move on to our second card in Breath of the Kami we're going to talk about today. And that card is one I'm really excited about, honestly. Hurricane Punch. I think this card is thematically just super cool. Do you guys know what it does? Anybody want to break it down, or you want me to?
All right, so Hurricane Punch. It's going to be a zero-cost event for Dragon. Has the keywords Kiho and Air, so almost everything out of this pack is going to have the Air keyword. And it is, zero-cost event, action during a conflict. Choose a participating monk character. That character gets +2 military until the end of the conflict, and you draw a card. It obviously is a conflict card, and it has a 1 influence cost. It is just disgustingly good. It's very, very strong, and the monk keyword as a whole seems to be getting quite a bit of love during this cycle from what we've seen in the spoilers so far. So I'm excited to see a new avenue open up for Dragon that's not just play lots of attachments.
Well, it's weird because, the monk deck is still an attachment deck. A lot of the conflict monks all can be played as attachments.
Right, but
so it's neat that
just doesn't limit them to having to get one guy out, make him giant.
Oh,
now you can run a lot of monks and let the monk synergy, some of the monk synergies we saw start to come into play now with the core set 4-cost monk, the aesthetic. Other monks have now are either probably going to be coming out, or we've seen things. Even some got released in the Phoenix pack. So we're getting a few other monks now, where hopefully he'll have more synergy, and you'll see the monk synergy start to develop.
I mean, I always make this joke, and I don't know if it's ever going to actually happen, but the Seeker monk from the core set, the neutral one, becomes better and better with things like this, because it becomes an actually playable character.
Right.
And it's neat that all the Dragon Monk Kihos kind of refill themselves with drawing a card. I think that's another thing that gives that deck kind of an edge, is that it's constantly keeping its advantage on its hand.
Right, which is where Dragon often struggles right now with card draw.
What do you think?
They're forced to draw high on it.
I would mostly agree. It seems like it's going to be a pretty above-average card. Similar to the Lion Box and a bunch of other stuff this cycle. I think it's kind of pushing the boundaries for like a secondary style or archetype for the clan. Mm-hmm. So I think that's good and a good direction to take the game in. As the card pool grows, just having more options where different styles are viable in a competitive scene, it's always a good thing.
Yeah, it'd be nice to make sure that we have, 2 decks at least for each clan going into Worlds, in my opinion. Open up the avenues of play overall.
Yeah, I don't know if every clan will get a second style that's going to be competitive, but certainly that's the goal they're going to try and go for. And some clans certainly will, I'm sure, get a very viable competitive deck out of a second style.
Yeah, I know everyone, the elephant in the room is actually a unicorn, and we're all hoping to see a little bit more from them, and a little bit more to a theme than like I jump around, I'm real cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of the lower end clans are going to see a lot of love in the next cycle.
That would be nice. As a Lion player, I can tell you that would be real nice right now. So all right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next card. It is the Mirror's Gaze. This is a pretty slick card overall. Very interesting since it is an attachment. That it, in my opinion, is one of the few 2-cost attachments that I think is worth the fate cost. So let's go ahead and give this card a rundown. Alex, why don't you go ahead and read this one out for us?
So this one is a 2-cost crane attachment that's a +0/+1. It's got the spell and air tag, and you have to attach it to a Shigenja character you control, and it'll give you the reaction ability after the effects of an opponent's event resolve. You resolve that event again as if you had just played it, ignoring costs and triggering conditions, and choose new targets.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty cool card.
It's a great card. I think it goes really well with Crane. They're going to see a lot of benefit out of what's not really a full-on counterspell, but in a lot of instances, you're going to get kind of that effect of counteracting their court games or their for shame or whatever it is they might happen to play, so long as it's something that you can also take advantage of. I think this card's going to see a lot of play.
In my opinion, this card really isn't going to shine in Crane, but a Phoenix splash.
Or anyone splashing into Crane.
Yeah.
I think this is going to...
Well, you do need a Shigenja
option
to attach it to. And Phoenix do that probably the easiest. And with the Yojimbo, the protection on that guy to make sure that this is just ticking away.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think overall that is going to be real strong. What do you think on this one?
Feels like a very appropriately themed card for Crane. It's very... We're not going to be sneaky about what we're doing. We're going to put this out there. If you do this, we're just going to counter you.
Yeah, and we haven't really talked a lot about that, but the theme of these cards so far, I'm really liking the fictional thematic theme to all of them. It adds a little bit of depth to each of the clans. I definitely think it's really cool. Overall, I don't know if I think this card's going to see tons of play in Crane.
I could see it being viable in Crane. I think it's event hate that you get in your conflict deck. So if your dynasty deck, if you don't happen to draw into the Guest of Honor or the other dynasty cards that impact your opponent's ability to play events, you might not have the Voice of Honor out from having the setup for having more honored guys. A lot of these other events, this is just kind of a thing that you can play out there that's going to be playable on any character you have.
It has to be a Shigenja.
It has to be a Shigenja. Actually, that's a good point. That limitation is actually a big...
Is a hefty one, isn't it?
For Crane specifically, yeah. That is a pretty hefty downside. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think this is a card that we will see more in splashes, and maybe in Crane specifically it'll be a bit less common.
You agree with that assessment, or?
Yeah, we have to see how many Shigenja Crane are going to be playing, if they're actually going to run it.
They might
Because
get
I
some
can
new
only
ones
think
added as well in the cycle.
It's quite possible.
Absolutely.
Since the theme is very elemental spell heavy, I would not be surprised to see them get new ones. So I'm just trying to think right now how many Crane are actually running. The one cost is the only one the one cost is the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
The political buffer.
Well, there's that character, and there's the courtier who gives all other honored characters sincerity. He's a courtier Shugenja.
Storyteller?
Yeah, the storyteller. Thank you.
Does he see play?
Yep. He.
Okay.
I don't know how often he actually sees play, but I know that he is an option.
Yeah, I mean,
for that. Speaking of Shugenjas, a nice one that fits into everybody's deck is, a fan favorite clan. We have us some Mantis clan here. Kudaka?
Kodaka.
Kadaka. All right, we're gonna go with Kadaka on this one, guys. You let us know how we're pronouncing this wrong down in the comments,
it's probably
please.
Kudaka. I think you were correct.
Kudaka? Okay, so we're just gonna sit and butcher this here. But overall, I'm just gonna go give this card a brief rundown. She is a neutral card. 4 cost, 3 military skill, 4 political skill, a Shugenja with the air trait, and Mantis clan. Again, like I said, big fan favorite for everyone waiting to see the Mantis clan in the game. And her reaction is actually really awesome as well. After you claim the air ring, gain 1 fate and draw 1 card. Limit twice per round. She also has 1 glory. Sorry about that.
And is unique.
Yep, and is unique. My initial reaction is, as a Lion player and someone who doesn't have access to a ton of Shugenja, she fits a role that's really handy because card draw and fate manipulation is not a Lion's strength, so maybe pushing this a little bit more can help fill in those gaps. What do you guys think?
Like you said, I think it could fit well in some of the more military-oriented clans. I don't think you'll see this a lot in some of the more neutral or politically oriented, like Dragon or Crane or Scorpion. But certainly in the more military style, like Lion and Unicorn, I could see this card being run and being pretty competitive.
Yeah, overall, I love her stats. Like 3-4 is just good.
It does seem strong.
What do you think?
Obviously, I know on Discord some of the crab people have been excited about her. Talk about if we could keep her there. Just a Dishonor deck with her. She's a Shugenja, so she helps enable Cloud. The one problem, at least from a crab perspective with her, is she is just another really expensive Shugenja. Because all the Shugenja we have access to for the most part right now are pretty hefty. Witch Hunter, just all of them are 4 costs pretty much right now.
Yeah.
Except for we've seen one that we're gonna show coming up, which was a 3, but question the playability of that card.
That's very fair.
So she's expensive, but her ability trigger is very strong. If you're going to be running a Dishonor themed deck, you're going to be getting air ring a lot. You're going to be pushing for air ring a lot. So it's definitely a valid trigger. She's a good card.
Just overall, I would definitely say she is one of the... I don't know if she's the strongest unaligned character I've seen thus far. I don't know if she quite dethrones Satoshi, but she's very strong. Satoshi's a monster.
Let's not forget the Keeper Initiate.
Yes, Keeper Initiates. You are not wrong.
He is also
they've got some strong neutral cards. So those originally, when they posted the article, were the previews that they had up, but awesomely enough, in the most Scorpion way, they snuck in some new previews on us back into the first article. So remember, guys, when they're posting these 6 articles up, look for your Scorpion previews back in previous articles. It's a clever way of doing this. So we're going to talk about one of those previews. We're going to start up first with the Disguised Protector. Alex, why don't you go ahead and read us this one? Break it down.
So this is a 4-cost character in your Dynasty deck.
Do you have the
it's not unique.
Okay,
it's going to be a 3/3 with 1 glory. Bushi, Shinobi, Yojimbo, and has an action ability. During a conflict in which this character is participating, each player adds the bid on his or her honor dial to his or her skill total during this conflict's resolution. I think this card is going to be pretty strong in the current style of Scorpion, actually. having the ability to steal honor on your stronghold often makes people bid very high early game. So if you plan for that and have this card in your opening style or are running it as a 3 of and are going to be like aggressive with your Dynasty discards, it can really pay to bid 1 early and go up with a huge honor lead. And then later when you have the ability to play this card, bid 5 when your opponent's bidding 1 because they're low on honor, suddenly you've got an easy break. I think this card definitely has room in the current archetype to be viable and pretty strong.
What's your call?
I hope Scorpion runs this card just because if there's a 4-cost Scorpion card, this is the one I want to see more than any of the other 4-cost Scorpion drops. It's just nowhere near as impressive as the other ones. So yeah, run this card, please.
I think it's actually really cool.
I'm not saying it's a bad card. I'm just saying compared to everything else they're running in the 4-drop slot, please run this card.
You know what? Honestly, though, we're not going to talk about it today, but they did preview the Scorpion Clan pack, and we would be a little remiss to not mention it.
Sure.
So, that card, being able to stand up, you dishonor your own dude, he could go into any fight ready to break multiple.
Yeah, he could.
And
I think it's a fine card. I don't think it's a bad card. I just think
triggering 2 and on a stronghold break would be real nuts. You're like, I get +10.
Right. I just think compared to like Hirowe or some of the other 4-drops they have,
I don't disagree.
They have some bonker 4-drops.
You know what? That's a good point.
This one is
finding space for this card. I could see this maybe as a 2 of. I don't know if this would make it into at least a Scorpion build one of us would play as a 3 of.
Yeah.
But it's a neat card. Definitely, you can't discount it. This next card has a lot of people having mixed feelings. And it's going to be Deceptive Offer. Right? We hear him already laughing about it over here. So we're gonna this might be a debatable card because I know it's like having 2 different angels on the sides of me over here. So we're going to go ahead and let Steven over here give us the breakdown of Deceptive Offer. Go ahead.
Deceptive Offer is a 0-cost event for Scorpion, 2 influence. As an action, discard during a conflict, choose a participating character you control. Your opponent selects 1. They either get +2, +2, +2 military, +2 political until the end of the conflict, or they give you an honor. Yeah, it's what Levy wanted to be. Poor Levy.
You've said that multiple times.
Yeah, well, go to Crabchild Discord and try to say Levy's a good card.
Do people get angry at each other over there?
People have tried to make Levy work. It doesn't.
Okay. All right.
This is such a good card.
You're on this is a good card bandwagon. All right. I am going to referee this grudge match real quick. So you are on the it's a good card bandwagon. And Alex, why don't you give us the breakdown of how you feel?
Yeah, I actually don't think this is a good card. If you're gonna have a +2/+2, it's an event, which we're already running a ton of events. It doesn't help us in any sense get past stuff that blocks events. +2/+2, I would pretty much rather have an Ornate Fan or a Fine Katana that's at least going to stay through multiple conflicts.
Possibly. You can view... a lot of people view fans and katanas as just... They're 0 cost, so if you have to throw them on a no-fake character.
I think those are viable cards. I think those cards are better than this Deceptive Offer. I think having a +2/+2 or my opponent giving me an honor when it's up to the opponent, I think they can just choose the better option at the time, and it ends up being kind of a mediocre value.
Can't you, just play devil's advocate, put it into a situation where you're pushing the dishonor, and you're like, all right, so either you're going to move more towards my 1-win condition, or I'm going to break this province and hit another win condition.
Sure, but it's never going to really be better than an Ornate Fan would. An Ornate Fan will give you the bonus, but then doesn't give them the offer to take away the strength, and will stay in multiple conflicts. It's a card I think that seems good, but in reality, it's going to, because your opponent gets the choice, it's going to give you the lesser value of the two options every time. And in that situation, I just don't think it's as strong as other options that are available.
Okay.
I just don't know if there's ever a bad situation for Scorpion to take an honor from somebody. It's always just accelerating that.
I think
division right now.
there are, Dragon is a perfect example of a clan you don't want to bid 5 of, at the first turn, and they're gonna go up in honor, and then what's an honor
I feel
to
like
a
a lot
Dragon
of Dragon
player
players bid
13
Dragon
to 5.
has to bid 5.
Dragon bids 5,
Dragon
but the
has to bid 5
Scorpion
straight up.
won't.
But so
you're
couldn't
not-
you
you're
bid
not gonna-
3 and then take one from them after they?
Sure, but what's an honor when they're up 13 to 7 or 12 to 8 or whatever?
They're down.
An honor to prevent you from getting +2/+2 when that's breaking, or if it's not gonna change from I'm not breaking to I'm breaking, let them get the +2/+2. Like, I don't, it's. I get that I like that it's both +2 mil and +2 political, so that you can use it in any conflict that you want. But I just don't think the bonus is good enough relative to the cost. I think that there are just other better options.
Funny, I feel like this card is more of an honor runner card on some level, because it's like offensively, hey, let me get closer to either of my win conditions.
I can agree with that in that sense. I just find that the free attachments are better options because they're going to last multiple conflicts, multiple turns. The fact that this is just a single conflict and it's an event, and they have the option to counteract the bonus for an honor, they just choose which one is less punishing for the game at that time, and it ends up being just average at best, in my opinion.
Okay, and that's very fair. That's very fair. All right. Well, so that's the first pack for Breath of the Kami. That wasn't as heated as I thought it was going to be. It's good. It's good. No fists were flying across me. I'm glad. I got real worried for a minute. So we're going to go ahead and move on to, I think, probably Steven's new baby mama, probably. Or is it a dude? I don't know. We all have a hard time. But Steven, take it away, buddy.
All right. So obviously, Tended Lands. The spoiler was very crab focused, and that made it was a good day for crab when the spoiler came out. So first card we got is Kuniyori, who everybody has been waiting for multiple reasons. One was just it's another crab Shigenja. We had one in the core sets.
It's another big cost one, though.
Yeah, it is, and again, that's crab. All the Shigenjas we've seen for crab are not cheap. But, so we got Kuniyori, 5-cross unique. He is a Shigenja, Earth attribute, and Daimyo. So, he's a 4/4 with 1 glory. 2 abilities. So his aura is during Earth conflicts, each character you control gets +1 military and +1 political, and that is each character, not each crab character you control. So, right now with Crab being keeper, running the monks, and a lot are running Saitoshi. So that is a big deal.
And also doesn't require him to be participating.
Correct.
Yeah.
And just for icing on the cake, as an action during a conflict to lose an honor, choose a player. That player discards a random card from their hand.
That ability is very good.
Especially with Crab being Earth-themed right now, or Earth... Keeper of Earth anyway right now, and pushing hand discard. It just pushing dishonor through hand discard is a big thing for Crab now.
Right, and it's interesting because a little bit this card fits the new, I don't know, I feel like a new Crab theme fairly well, and that's give up my honor, we don't care for
more power.
Right, more power. And an interesting question we were kind of having this conversation before we went to recording was this pack especially. Does it feel like the Crab Clan are going to be villainous or are going to lose their way? I know a lot of us from the old storylines remember a lot of really messed up things that Quesada ended up doing. So it's interesting, and I wonder if they're going to go down that road again how are you feeling as a Crab player about the fictional implications of some of these cards?
Well, so not having played the old game and being versed in the old lore to the extent of a few very knowledgeable people from the Crab Channel Discord and just some side conversations. So I don't know a ton of the old lore, but from what I've seen in the new lore and just rereading all the stuff FFG's put out, which is good, Crab is having a hard time on the supply front, definitely. They're not getting shown love in the courts. They're basically getting ignored. So, and they talked about this a little in the spoiler article. You're just getting a sense of, we're going to do what we have to do because our job is to defend the land. We have to keep people out, and we're going to do what we have to do. And if that's dabble in Maho and dark magic,
then so be it.
we can handle it.
Oh man, speaking
Crab will persevere and bear the load that others cannot.
Yeah, as the taint comes on and doesn't it taste good? What do you think of this card, Alex?
Don't see anyone else stepping up to do it.
I think this card's going to be above average. I think it's going to see some play. I don't think it's going to be meta changing or anything like that.
I don't think meta changing, but I do think a staple in mini Crab decks.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't see him pushing out Casada because Casada's just so good.
Yeah, I don't see Casada leaving.
Great Bear is just a monster.
People just undervalue the one free cancel every conflict.
As a judge, I will tell you the undervalue of that and the number of times people miss it. It gets hilarious.
Especially with the full art
Yeah,
cards.
I love the full art
I have
cards.
missed
They're
it
beautiful.
so many times.
But man,
There's been so
remember
many
what your
times
cards
we've been
do.
in a conflict and just like, crap, we did not do Casada at all this round, and that made a big difference.
It does, and you go so far that you can't go back.
Especially with clans who have the trouble doing an event, who don't have a free event to burn. Like Lion doesn't have if they run the new box, they don't have their old box anymore. They don't have the one event just to free burn Casada for that conflict.
Yeah, that new stronghold, man, it's pretty rough against Crab. That's after doing some testing with it, it's a hard knock life, back in the Annie quotes. But Steven was mentioning something pretty prevalent, and that's Maho. And our next card, Spreading the Darkness segue.
So Spreading the Darkness.
This card is
bonkers.
Bonkersy so good.
You thought Yori was good.
Yeah.
This is
Alex, why don't you go ahead and read this one out for us?
Something else.
This one's a Crab 0-cost event. It's got Monk, Spell, and Earth tags, 2 influence, and it's an action. Lose 2 honor. Choose a participating character you control until the end of the conflict. That character gets +4 military and cannot be targeted by opponent's card abilities.
Just initial reaction is the what?
Crab Christmas land.
Right?
Christmas came early for Crab.
Oh man.
That is the card of the cycle.
I do think if you are going to have a meta-changing card in these first 2 packs we've seen, this would be your meta-changing card.
That is bonkers.
Yeah,
so good.
The fact that it's a spell, I think, adds so much more value to it. And people are going to be like, oh, why would you say that out of Crab? It's not out of Crab. You run this out of the Phoenix Stronghold, that you play spells from your discard, and you're double tapping this in the Stronghold fight.
It is super bonsai.
Yeah.
It is also not limited to 1 per conflict like bonsai.
Exactly. I mean, that...
You can just take away people's ability to do anything to you.
Yes.
Also, when you're defending with this, you have Borderlands Defender, you do this to the other player, now you have like a static 13 defense that just can't You get a static giant defense with Crab that just cannot be pushed around.
I mean, static attacking defense with Crab. You're like, oh, I hit Casada with this. Do something.
Yeah, if it's on the first conflict, because Casada has the immunity on the first turn.
Yeah.
You have to burn something.
You got to burn it.
This is all card abilities, too. So, I mean, you even have to take into account strongholds. You can't Meditations of the Tau.
You cannot feast or famine someone with this.
The only thing you can do to people with this is pop a Kami and do a ring effect.
Yes, you can hit with ring effects. That is a great point.
So if you are a keeper or seeker,
I mean, Kami Unleashed or Guardian Kami.
Either Kami can still. That's the only thing I can think of right now that can get through this.
Popping ring effects, yeah.
I think this is going to be an auto-include in
also,
every
it's
crowd.
only 2 influence.
Right.
Only 2 influence.
I mean, that is just, that's something we haven't even talked about that much. Like, Deceptive Offer is 2 influence, and you're not liking that, but this card at 2 influence is...
It could still cost another Fate and still be one of the best cards
in the cycle, yeah.
This is just a finisher with no equal in the game right now.
This is a game closer. I think, we were having the discussion before we started filming where, if you're a heavy military clan and that's how you plan to win, this card is meta-changing. This plus Reprieve is your, ally in cards.
Also,
so strong.
This is just... this is what Scorpion did not want to see, because, this just takes a Fate worth of death off the tower.
It does.
You cannot hit a tower, and especially if you have Finger of Jade on it when you're going in.
I mean, think about Dragon running this. They're I'm an Uber unit. I come in,
master, load it up, and do this on it, and it's just bad times. Now, interesting thing, Way of the Crab still can get you off this. It's not a target.
It doesn't say target. It says you cannot be affected by their cards. Way of the Crab does not work.
No, cannot be targeted by.
Is it targeted?
It is targeted.
Oh, that is good to know.
Crab and Court Games can still.
Court Games still gets it. Choose is a targeting, so it does not work.
But you can still be crabbed.
You can be crabbed.
So Crab have the solution to the problem they have made.
That's right. So remember, if you have a problem against Crab, play Crab, because that's the answer they designed.
It's the Crab Mirror.
Because everybody just should play Crab Mirror, because that's fun. But overall, it like we were all saying, this card is the MVP of I think everything we're going to show you today.
I have not seen a better spoiled card yet.
Yeah, honestly, that's the best spoiled card in I think our collective opinions.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Collective opinion. We all thumbs up on that one. Thumbs up.
This is the card that Crab just said we win the set because we got this card.
And again, it adds into the plunging into darkness. Yeah. They're spreading the darkness.
Yeah, we're the cut on. The cut for.
Yeah, I do feel bad because the acronym for this card is STD, and now everybody's going to be getting STDs.
Yep.
So it's a little inappropriate. Sorry, guys.
He's not that sorry.
I'm not that sorry. But that falling into darkness, the Tainted Lands, the second pack leads us into that next one, the Marauding Oni. This is a neat card. At 2 cost, 4 military, it's got great stat for cost. That's pretty good. And the dash political means it can be policy debated. It's got its pluses and minuses being
policy
a dash.
Debated. The dash was really strong when policy debate was everywhere, but now that it's on the restricted list, I think the dash kind of is a negative again.
I would agree overall.
Because no one maybe Crane runs it now.
Yoga Hiroe prevents targeting from that.
Yeah.
But if you're targeting it with Hiroe, then I'm not paying the cost to get him into the conflict. So
can't get Shoju'd.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's an Oni. He has the Shadowlands trait. So I know a lot of you old school Shadowlands players. This is what you're excited to see.
Neutral
Goblin
card.
and Sneak. It's real. Goblin, Sneak, and this guy. You're on your way. You got 2 characters. You got 2. But the trait's really neat on it. It can't be honored or dishonored. Very Oni themed. Big monsters don't care. That 0 glory is as irrelevant as anything else on the card. Well, is as irrelevant as anything else possible. but it does have a forced reaction. When it's declared as an attacker or defender, you lose 1 honor, and it's unlimited. And it is a dynasty card.
Strong charge target.
Yeah,
If
strong
for the people who
charge.
can still have the luxury ring charge. So Unicorn Lion.
Wolsey, you can throw the unicorn's seal on this and then start moving it
Or the
around.
favorable mount.
Yeah.
Either one. Favorable mount.
Oh, I want to see Oni on a horse. That's what I want. Thank you. Please, somebody out there make this a thing. Make Oni on a
No,
horse.
I feel if anybody's gonna run it, it's probably Unicorn. Maybe
Your
Lion.
Gaijin Customs.
Yeah.
You just run Mantis Clan and Oni out of Unicorn, and you run that Gaijin Customs. Everybody standing up 30 times. That's great. But I mean, what do you guys think? What's your opinion, Alex?
Seems like a good card.
You gonna run it?
Probably not.
Do you think the 1 honor loss every time is harsh?
Yeah.
You think that's the reason?
He's also assassinatable.
Yeah, he's also a 2 cost.
Can't be dishonored. Woo woo.
I don't know. It seems average.
Seems average. Okay.
Actually, he can with Rumor Monger.
He cannot be honored or dishonored, but it moves the status token onto him. So yeah, you could do that. You could honor him in Crane with that one Shugenja that moves the honored token.
The Origami Master.
The Origami Master. He can fold paper cranes and hand them to Oni all day long.
Turn on Voice of Honor.
There you go. Your Oni's making your voices. But I mean, it's a neat card.
It's an interesting card.
And again, as an old school L5R player, I love the reemergence of the Mantis clan and the Shadowlands. Like, that's awesome.
It's
Well,
thematic
definitely.
and cool, and it's balanced, I think.
Definitely with the Shadowlands cards coming a little more in this set, and with the Goblin Sneak and Crab getting some Maho. I know on the Crab Discord, there's definitely been some talk about is this going to create a penalty in the story now? If you're running Maho or Shadowlands cards and you win a major event, is that somehow going to get reflected in the story?
And I think that is a great question because, when you look at the roles and how thematic and meta tied those two things are, it's not a very far stretch to think that maybe they're going to start taking our deck construction even more into account for themes and for storyline choices. I mean, it's very different having a deck win by honor as opposed to by a military victory thematically in the story. And that's, as, again, old honor player, I really hope that victory condition becomes more relevant.
I expect you'll see it become relevant a little more each cycle.
Yeah, I mean,
I expected to see more of a slow. I think this got talked about on the AMA they did about a month ago.
Yeah.
And I think Brad said they, with the honor, I forget if it was compared to Dishonor, because Dishonor was strong out of the gate, but I think it was also compounded by they didn't see the meta coming where everyone just auto bid 5 for the first 2 or 3 turns.
yeah.
So I think they want to take honor. They're worried about the solitary coming back.
And that's a very real problem. And, if the meta wasn't draw 5, turn 1, then if it was like draw 3, then I think you'd have a much better chance of seeing honor decks emerge. Because the differential between drawing 1 card to gain honor and drawing 3 cards, and, difference between 1 versus 3 is not as, clearly it's way smaller than the difference 1 to 5 makes.
Right.
So, things like that.
But I'd like to see it come in just for more win conditions and give Crane,
I think
Lion.
we need to see a lot more cards to help that style.
I hope we see a cycle focus on that, because while the roles are really neat, the elements are a neat thing to focus in on
in
the
general, on Dishonor Honor or Dishonor?
on
honoring.
On the honor win victory. I think that and you know what? Even maybe you make Scorpion have cards that's like, if your opponent's above X honor, they lose honor, to try to help, keep that tug of war going.
Fair.
So that way, you're never going to hit anyone, old throwback, breach of etiquette. They're never going to be at, like, 2 honor, and you're like, oh, you lose. Where, like, backhanded compliment can just be... I mean, Scorpion getting Keeper at Worlds this coming year can really lead to some harsh dishonor builds for the next...
Yeah, I mean, it weakens their province row, though, so that's the fair trade-off.
I don't disagree. It does weaken their province
Seeker
row.
of Void is just a punishing province row right now for them.
Yes, Seeker of Void is very strong, and I remember everybody complaining, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Right? I was there.
Look at the Kotei results. It was a strong choice.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Good job. I actually do think that it was a really cool pick. And
Thank you,
you
Mark,
guys
for
did a great
passing
job.
that pick off.
Right? Brad Emmon?
Yeah, Brad did it.
Yeah,
After
so great
he
job.
left Dragon to just go do that.
Mark's reasoning was amazing,
I love
too.
Mark just making one guy wanted to be a villain. So
right? I mean, hey, we needed villains.
We love you, Mark.
Yeah, we do love you. We do love you. So, we're going to go ahead and move on to the last card in Tainted Lands, because, the Phoenix have never been evil, ever, because the Dark Phoenix aren't a thing. So they're going to teach us about the elements.
Only in X-Men.
Right? Only in X-Men, sorry. So, Steven, go ahead and give us a card read.
All right, teaching the elements. It is the first new province we had spoiled. And it is
Correct.
So it is the new province that Phoenix is getting, and it would appear that everyone seems to be getting one in this set. So we have it's a 5 strength province. The element is Earth, and it reads: the province gets +1 strength for each claimed ring. It gets big.
It does. On a stronghold, this is actually way weaker. But on an early province, this can become very strong.
The only thing I don't like about it is it's just completely farmable from the time you flop it to the time it goes away. I guess you can make an argument it's as good as Public Forum? I don't know. It's just...
It being massive strength. Now, the holding that you count as having a ring in your claim pool, does that work with this?
For each claimed ring is the wording on it. You're the judge.
So, yeah, I mean, it would count as it's in your claim pool, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
So, I mean, that kind of is an interesting...
the temple, the secluded, secluded shrine.
I think
it is.
Comment down below and correct us. Sorry, we're not sure off top of our heads.
Yeah, I think it's secluded shrine, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on that. But
there is the holding that gives them start of the conflict phase. You get to pick a ring that you count as having.
Yeah, their anti-Tadaka card, even though they're the ones who get Tadaka. It's interesting how clans most often get the answers to their best tools. Like, they're the clan that can defeat themselves. It's interesting because it makes you want to almost splash them more. Interesting overall. What do you think? Teaching the elements.
I think it's. I don't think it's going to be as strong as some of the other provinces right now. I personally don't really see it getting picked to run much.
Do this first, don't do that, because this plays off him.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think it's got enough value relative to other provinces that exist already.
I agree. I think that it's not really a gendered thing. But it's just underwhelming to me. It's not bad. It's just not good. It's not bad. It's fair to Midland.
It's an Earth province, so a lot of the Earth provinces just don't do anything. They're very static. They're just very, I don't want to be broken.
Correct.
So in that sense, it does fit fine into it. I mean, the only one I can think of that really does something special is Public Forums or Defend the Wall.
There's the one that, when revealed, bows all 2-cost guys. That's very interesting.
But then it has the same problem this does. It's just farmable afterwards.
Correct. It is just farmable.
Which in the current meta where you have people like Crab and Scorpion dragging games out and making them long, you don't want farmable provinces.
I kind of tend to agree with
Because
you.
they don't always care if breaks happen or not right away. So if they're just farming air rings off you or earth rings off you, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very fair point. Like we all said, it's fair to Midland at best. That's kind of how we feel.
Nowhere
but
near as good as their other ones that they have.
No, and Kunai Mori, or however you pronounce it, I think might be the best clan specific
Best
province.
It's
It
arguable with
and
Feast.
Feast
I think
or
it's as
Famine
good as
are probably
Feast.
the
It's
two.
as good as Feast.
But it's just a good card overall.
I think it's better than Shameful, and I'm glad Phoenix went Shameful.
You think it's
instead of-
better than Shameful?
As a
That
crab player,
is-
we do not want to see Kurimori at all, just because.
Well, I mean, and as a Lion player, I feel the same way.
Yeah, and I think it's better. I guess it's better against certain people, but Kunamori is just really strong, and it does have the element flip as well, which can be relevant for Phoenix.
Well, now even more
With
so, it
this
can be
cycle,
more and more relevant.
as we see more and more when this element's in play, or when you have this ring.
Right.
It's gonna
I
be
mean,
more and more
someone trying to shut down Tadaka, you could just say, "No, you're not going to get even the chance."
Right. I just think Kurimori is
Just good.
amazingly strong.
So that's our opinion. This one has a hard time finding space. It's not bad. It's just not as good. When you only have 5 provinces, they need to be. When you make some that are as good as Feast or Famine or Kunai Mori, it makes. I feel like as good as that is, it shrinks the design space because you have to make provinces as good, or we might see things in Thrones where maybe having certain provinces together make them better.
We'll see. I mean, you got to be careful about making a power creep in the provinces, though, because Feast or Famine was just it was very, very strong compared to pretty much anything else that's been released, except for possibly Kurimori,
in my
maybe
opinion,
Shameful.
Restoration of Balance is up there because the meta is draw 5. It is a very strong card.
Yeah, and you got to be careful with that because right now the only card that really does anything to protect you against that's Pathfinder's Blade, and only 3 clans can run it, and it's restricted now.
Right.
Thank you, Dragon.
Thanks, Dragon.
Yeah.
So, all right. Enough on the Tainted Lands. We spent a decent amount of time on that one. We're going to go ahead and go to the Fires Within, and we'll probably run through this one a little bit quicker.
Sure.
So we're going to talk about the unicorn cards first in the pack, and this monster of a man, Shinjo Shono. This guy is
Shono's
awesome.
actually Breath of Kai. He's in the first pack.
Oh, he's in the first
Yeah,
pack.
He was, but
Okay, so
but Shono really exemplifies what it seems like Unicorn want to do now.
right.
They've had a little bit of a directional shift, it seems, and Brad kind of alluded to that a little in the AMA. And then with some of the cards he spoiled at UK Games Expo, he was playing a Unicorn deck, so there was some spoilers that we got.
And we do have some questions about the way some of those cards work, because the way they're worded versus the way they were played, it's not the clearest thing. It's clear as mud. But we're going to go ahead and do a breakdown on Shono right now.
So Shono is a 4-cost unique, 4 military, 3 political, 2 glory, Bushi Cavalry Commander. He has the keyword Pride. And as an action, while this character is participating in a conflict, if you control more participating characters than your opponent, each participating cavalry character you control gets +1/+1 until the end of the conflict. So,
I mean, you can make an almost all cavalry deck now.
yeah, Cav is definitely the most relevant clan-specific keyword
Yes.
from the seal. Well, going off the keywords that each clan got with the seals. basically.
Monk.
Monk's definitely getting more and more
Monk is that
relevant.
number 2.
Cav has been relevant the whole time.
Agreed.
I think we'll see Berserker and Shinobi become more.
I hope
time.
Shinobi. And you know,
The ninja deck.
not to be rude, but one of my problems with the current way the game is designed is that these keywords feel like you're tagging, other than Shugenja, which is a massively relevant keyword. Shugenja,
Shugenja,
Korchira,
yeah,
Bushi
the
are
big
your
three,
three
the
main
main
ones.
three.
I would love to see more proactive battle actions key off of
Basically tribal decks.
Right, you know, I'd love to see out of Lion, maybe a Commander send Homer Bow action. Out of Crab, you know, maybe a Berserker action. You know,
Right.
something interesting like
Kind of something
that.
like we got with Crisis Breaker.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Where
know,
he just interacts with other Berserkers.
Exactly. Where I feel the commanders for Lion just are like, oh,
Right.
neat, they're commanders.
Right, and I think I hope we'll get that. I imagine we'll see that a little more fleshed out in the cycles coming up. If not this cycle, then
hopefully a clan
down the
pack.
road.
I mean,
Either
a Lion
packs,
clan pack could be
right.
neat.
Right, and you saw Shigenza really get shored up in the Phoenix Clan pack. I mean, that
Right.
whole pack was basically spells.
To make
you
sure
got a
that their decks
stronghold, 4
function well.
spells, and it really helped Shigenja. It had a lot of Shigenja-specific help in that. So I would expect that definitely in the clan packs, if not in the cycles themselves.
Absolutely. How about you, Alex? What do you think of Shenna?
Super strong.
The 4
Yeah.
costs they wanted in the core set
Yeah.
that they didn't really get.
He was the 4 costs they wanted and the one they needed.
I see this card being run in pretty much all the unicorn decks.
Yeah,
I mean,
very,
yeah.
very
auto
strong.
include going forward.
He's going to be a staple. I mean, I just think put a pin in him, he goes in.
Yeah, and I think it's going to really cement the unicorn shift from whatever they were supposed to be doing early
Right,
on
to
to now
just stuff.
they're going to be the kind of military horde faction. They're kind of taking Lion's spot on that.
You know, speaking of segues, in that military horde faction, how about the Naga we got here? I really wish that the Shikashi Scout had the Naga keyword on her, but you know, it's fine. Didn't need it.
And they haven't
or
done
trait.
any of the... they all got creatures.
They all got creature.
All the
Yeah,
races.
I wonder if they'll make a creature deck eventually. But the Shikisha Scout is 2 cost, 2 military, 2 political, creature scout, 1 glory. So, you know, apparently she cares some about honor. And I assume that's a female, just the way the picture looks. While this character is participating in a conflict, you are considered to control an additional character in this conflict.
And she is a conflict character.
Yes, is a conflict character. Now, missing cavalry, which is not huge, but you know, it is something to note. It is something
It
to
is,
note.
but Unicorn does have the favor mount and
I think it being
seal.
conflict reduces some of the need for it to be cavalry too, because
I-
you can just
I
play it
agree.
directly in.
Yeah. But she directly feeds right into Shono.
Very true. And this is really neat in general with, you know, you run Lion as your ally. Strength in numbers, she's a 1 for 2.
Right.
I mean, that's
Just
awesome.
enables strength in numbers almost right there.
Yeah, I mean, by herself, she allows you to hit almost every character. There aren't that many 3s.
For glory.
Yeah, 3s in glory. And I mean, if you're trying to outnumber, you're swinging with one other dude.
Then you're 3.
Yeah.
Even the stat line is pretty good. I mean, it's a 2-2 for 2. Like, it's
Right.
pretty solid.
And then you throw. So this next one, honestly, is not everyone agrees. This tends to have people torn, but I think is awesome. The new Battle Maiden card. Alex, why don't you go ahead and break this one down?
This one's it's a unicorn, 0 cost, 0/0, 0 military, 0 political, 0 glory. It's got Bushi, Battle Maiden, and cavalry tags, and it gains +2 military while you have claimed either is that water or void ring?
Correct.
So yeah, this seems kind of interesting. I mean, it's a 0 cost cavalry unit, so it's something they can throw out there.
It adds to the theme.
Of the
Yeah,
cycle,
Yeah.
It gives up
It's a
on
new mechanic we haven't seen yet, really.
It's the cheap zero cost guys are always interesting because often when you're playing them you're probably going to be giving up favor or the extra fate for passing first that turn. So you really kind of need to. They should almost be of a similar value to most one costs.
Well, I think this one is. I mean, free 2 strength on your second conflict is pretty good.
So, as a comparative, you have the
Obstinate Recruit and
Obstinate
Eager
Recruit.
Scout.
Eager Scout
is a little different.
I
think,
think,
because of the clan.
I think
And that's
as a
something
Crab
to keep in
player,
mind.
Eager Scout's kind of, if Crab ever got Seeker, Eager Scout replaces Keeper Initiate probably as just the sack fodder.
Right.
And, go him in. Now you spread darkness on him. He goes solo breaks if no one defends. So, she's definitely can get value. She's a free unit, and she's Cav. So we got a relevant keyword there. She's a Bushi, relevant keyword. The only thing is, Unicorn has a lot of good value in their 1 and even 2 drop slots right now.
I think they've got some of the best 2 drops in the game.
I think they're up there with Crane on 2 drop value. It's if you're going like heavy blitz aggro, I could see her. I mean, if Unicorn does go more aggro, which some of the cards we've seen, it looks like that's how they're shaping up. I could see her seeing play. Just the curve for Unicorn is going to get real small.
I think if she had maybe 1 military power, make her a 1/0 with that ability.
I think for free, I mean, you can't.
I personally am not sure she'll see much play as is. I mean, I get that she's a free character, but a lot of times that's a fate that you're giving your opponent that you might otherwise take in exchange for getting this character out. I mean, it depends on the rest of your dynasty.
Cavalry Reserves just drops her right in for free as a part of the reserve.
Yeah, she
But
powers Shono again.
wouldn't you rather have almost any other cavalry?
But if you drop like a 4 and a 2.
Yeah, she's in addition to all your other.
That's fair.
Like, you could have 3 of her sitting in there, Cav Reserves 2 guys in, and then drop all 3 in.
Right, and if you, say, have Shono out already, you
Right.
Cav Reserves 3 guys in now, instead of potentially 2. Like, say you were running one of the Horde specifically for this, and then you drop a Border Rider or something in.
Right.
So now you drop 3 in for 6 still. You have Shono, and say you have the Water or Void Ring already claimed. So now she's a 3 cost. You're dropping in for nothing.
3
Yeah,
strength.
she definitely has niche potential to be very valuable.
Yeah,
I just think you have to have a lot of setup to get good value.
I'm interested to see if the rest of the cycle makes this card even better.
Right,
Yeah.
and also we saw a card from 6 Ring, spoiled a card, which was Unleash the Djinn, which Unicorn can't run right now.
Which
but
is
if they do get
weird.
a fire roll, she's all of a sudden a 0 that turns into a 3/3.
Yep.
Just straight up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I can definitely make arguments for her seeing play.
Yeah, definitely some future potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not hard to see this card making it, but apparently it's hard to see when this card's out. Smoke. Sorry, terrible puns.
So funny.
So punny. But, so Smoke is a new dragon card. It is an attachment. It's 1 cost, +1 military, no political bonus. Spell, fire, action. While attached characters participating in a conflict, bow and sacrifice this attachment. Until the end of the conflict, each non-unique participating character gets -2 military. So it's just a massive, smoke bomb, I guess? It's an interesting card. I like it. Again, a card that I think fits better out of Phoenix. I think Phoenix get a lot of love this cycle with the number of spells that come out.
Well, it'll be interesting because Phoenix is probably the 2nd best monk deck right now. They're also the deck that has some monk
Well, the monk that
synergies.
grabs Keyhose and spells is
and
just
Dragon
solid.
has a lot of Keyhose, so you may start seeing things where you see like Phoenix Dragon or Dragon Phoenix for the monk decks. Even seeing Dragon go Phoenix for the Shrine Maiden to grab Keyhose, or Phoenix going Dragon. You have the monk conflict characters. You have the mantras if they want to splash them. So there's definitely some synergy that looks like you could see how those two decks that you could throw this in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Really good. I mean, just great.
It's a solid card.
Yeah.
I don't see it being that strong in Dragon. Like you said, in Phoenix or maybe some other splashes, I could see it getting run.
I mean, it's free in some cases if you attach it to a fire guy.
Yeah, relative to a lot of the other Dragon attachments and conflict cards, I don't think this one has as much value as a lot of the others do.
I give you that.
Also, it does stop wide armies.
It does stop wide armies. Like,
I mean, we're just
Swarms.
talking
I
about
guess that
like
is kind of a
Lion's
weakness
old
of
theme,
Dragon.
or what Unicorn seems to be wanting to ramp up to do now. This card just turned Shono off. It's
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
So
That's a great point.
So if we, I mean, because Dragon typically goes big, they're
Yeah,
going single
I guess
one or two guy towers.
So
This is an
when
answer
you're
to some of the
looking,
new archetype styles.
Yeah,
right,
if we
when
see,
you're looking at decks, I guess this card specifically
it's a meta pick.
is a meta pick, right?
Yeah.
If you're having a hard time against wide play, this card helps a lot.
Yeah, and it's a +1 military buff as well. So
Yeah, it's not the worst.
fire
That's pretty
sword,
bad. For one.
sword of
Yeah.
fire.
Sword of Fire? No, not a huge fan of fire swords, but hey, it's okay. Moving right along for our last preview of the day. It is going to be a Dragon Holding. Alex, why don't you take this one away?
Sure. This is a Dragon Holding that's got a +1 to the province it's on. Limited 1 per deck. It's a shrine. Has an action ability that's during a conflict. This province, during a conflict at this province, you lose 1 honor, and in exchange, the province gains +1 strength until the end of the conflict, and it's an unlimited action.
And it's called the Wrath of the Kami. It's unique. That's irrelevant, though, because it's limit 1 per deck. So
So we see dragons 1 per deck. Province, or holding.
So I think that when you equate this to the Lion and Crane 1 per deck holding, this is like holy dang better. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it PG.
But then you have
it's-
Karada and Kanjo.
Yeah, Banjo is way too good.
Kanjo and Karada are just
Yeah,
up
they
here.
are.
This might not-
here, and the other ones are
This
just
might not
playable.
compare to some of the other holdings, but I think this is an amazing card, in Dragon especially, because so often you can get a big lead in Honor just because of how your other provinces work. With the Dragon-specific province, I think this is a great combo with that. It's a way for you to spend honor that you might otherwise not need, depending on the matchup, to get some huge value.
Yeah, and you can just pitch it at the end of the turn if it's against like Scorpion.
Yeah, if you've used several of them, like, hey, I stopped a big swing, I spent 3 or 4 honor to stop him from breaking this province. Now that I'm down in honor a little bit or more even with him, I'll go ahead and discard this holding because it's not going to give me as much value.
Absolutely.
I think this is a great card and might be undervalued.
I think good, great might be a bit much.
I think it's terrible.
All right, we have a terrible, we have a
It's-
mid-ground, and we have a good.
If I were Dragon,
We
I
are
would
the
be
Gambit.
Disappointing. I would be disappointed that this was my one-off.
I don't disagree with that statement.
Like after
It-
seeing Karada and
when
Kanjo,
you see Kanjo and Karada, it's like, why doesn't everyone have a holding like that? That's awesome.
right?
But
Yeah,
This could have been
I
cool in
mean,
Scorpion.
I guess the one thing you can say
This
for
could have been cool in
is
Scorpion. Interesting.
If you run this, you're not going to be laughed at like you would if you ran the Crane or Lion one.
Yeah, the
But
Hito
This
District
is
is
a
just
card
terrible.
that's taking another card slot in your deck.
Yeah, I just don't see.
I don't see
There
this
is
play at
not
all.
a
for
slot in the
competitive
deck
play.
for it. That's my opinion.
I don't see this making tournament decks. And I get, okay, fine, you can never break this one province. Give me, as a crab player, give me all your honor, please.
Well, you're not giving honor. You're just losing it. You're not giving the
I don't
other player
care.
honor.
That's the only direction I care about.
Yeah,
Down.
it depends. It really does depend. But so that's gonna end it for our previews of the first 3 packs. Real quick, what do you guys think overall of the packs that we've seen? You know, the first 3. What's your general impression? Are you excited?
Pretty happy. Always excited to see new cards being added to the game. It seems like a lot of the clans, or most of them, most of the cards seem to be oriented towards like a new archetype for each of the clans, less of like an enhancement towards the existing styles, which is good.
I think it's interesting to see the cycle overall. Like my 2 MVP cards from these are Shono and Spreading the Darkness. I think that, you know, those are probably leaps and bounds the 2 best cards that we've seen.
Right.
I mean, we don't know everything,
right,
but that we have seen,
no,
those are the 2 best.
They're very, very good.
What's your general opinion?
I'm really excited for the cycle. I think what we've seen so far, for the most part, there's really no cards that are completely like that I wouldn't even play. Like a lot of these cards, you can see places in decks that they're gonna go.
Absolutely.
It's just good. A lot of excitement for the game. Also good. Like we did have the 3 or 4 month down period from January to April, which was rough.
It did towards the end of that period.
But then we got Phoenix. The Phoenix pack was a nice little shot in the arm. And I think it was good for everyone because it shook up the meta. It had a little shake up on the meta. Everyone got a card or 2, but there were some cards in there that you could find uses for, even if you're just splashing Phoenix.
Absolutely.
Clarity of Purpose came out.
Guardian Kami. Kami Unleashed.
Kami. Yeah, the Kamis were very strong out of that. So that was a nice little shot in the arm for the excitement. Then we got the restricted list the month after, which I think was a big, big boon to tournament play.
Well, you know, speaking of the restricted list, let's move right into our second story, the state of LCGs. You know, they did a sit-down with Brad and Tyler, and they asked them some pretty general questions. You know, what are you most excited about? What, if you could change, would you go back and change? Things like that. And, you know, talking about, you know, the restricted list being shot into the game, I think, you know, really did help a little bit of the state of the game.
Yeah, and it definitely... It slowed down the Conquest game a little. I mean, Charge was too good as a neutral card.
Yeah, Charge is a very...
Policy debate. There were just some cards that were ridiculously strong. And that's not an uncommon thing for fantasy flight games. A lot of the core sets have really, really good cards.
Right.
And, you know, to the point where they're overtuned to the point. I mean, Fury...
They're almost legacy.
Edict, Fury. It was the same thing in Netrunner.
Yeah.
And Netrunner just had core set cards that you never replace. You never replace.
Same in Game of Thrones.
And we definitely got a lot of those cards in the course. You can find them in all the clans. There's going to be cards that...
Lion's Pride Brawler.
Yeah,
I'll be the first one to admit that card is stupid, but I love it.
Bayushi Liar, Kaio Envoy. There's cards that you're never... If there's a card in that slot that's better than that card, then you got to wonder what's going on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to almost intentionally break meta to make... So, like, if they were to give me a 3-slot lot better than Lion's Pride Brawler, I literally
might have got one. The Shigenjo is equally good to Lion's Pride Brawler.
Oh, the Spirit Caller? Yeah, if they printed another 3-cost that, like, replaced either of those or was better than both, they are trying.
There was some power creep.
Yeah, we're on power creep.
I hope that they do stay on top of the restricted list. I hope they keep on top of the meta. I hope this is something we see updated. Like, I'd love to see another restricted list, like September or October.
I think 6 months. I think
I'd
every
like
6 months.
I'd like twice a year. I'd like to see it twice a year.
Maybe
before
after
and before Worlds.
I don't think we should see it before Worlds.
I'd like to see it before Worlds after the next pack's coming.
I would like to see 60 days minimum after a cycle releases before they throw a restricted list out. I'd like to see.
I think it should be even more than that.
You need to let the cycle play out.
I think a full cycle should be finished for 4 months At least.
But by the time that occurs, you've already introduced at least another clan pack. I mean,
you maybe have come out with one clan pack, and then have a restricted list. Like one restricted list update a year.
One a year. And
one update a year is kind of where I stand on that.
I'd like to see 2 because I'd like to see cards come off as well.
So
they could
with
do
the
that.
changing
They could remove and add all in one update.
Unfortunately, since I'm not really a competitive level Thrones or Netrunner player, I don't remember how much they changed restricted and most wanted lists in those games.
I can tell you in first edition Thrones, I checked it fairly consistently on the FFG website to just make sure that I'm not playing illegal decks.
Right, but I don't remember how often they get updated yearly.
That's fair.
I think I would be annoyed personally if I were excited about a new card coming out towards the end of a cycle and I get it, and then a month and a half later it ends up on the restricted list. I might be kind of annoyed just at how fast that happened. I mean, you got to give the cards enough time for people to be like, okay, this card is now in the meta. All these Phoenix decks or whatever it might be are running this card. Can we come up with an answer to this card that doesn't hurt us too much in our other matchups? You need time for the community and the competitive environment to say, okay, this card actually is kind of a problem. We should probably think about adding it to the restricted list. You just need months and months of time of card play before you can get to that decision, in my opinion.
The problem is there's not, at least, I don't know what the Kotei schedule is going to be for post-Toshi Rambo. I don't know if there's going to be another dead zone between Gen Con and Worlds.
I'm really hoping.
Last year there was. There's launch. So
yeah, it was.
There
launch.
was nothing big. So
I'm hoping. I know that working with Cascades, I'm hoping that I'll be participating in quite a few events as far as running them goes. Which, by the way, if you see any events with my name next to them as head judge, come out and see me. We'll have a good time. We always try.
Right, and I know Nova Open's doing an L5R event, and with the turnout Nova's been getting Pug a local East Coast tournament. But it'll be a big turnout, I imagine, and it'll be a good tournament. I don't know if it's FFG affiliated. I don't know anything that's going on with it.
When we look at it, things like the Nova Open might be the best thing for the game because it's such a community-driven game that maybe we should not just rely on FFG and we should do some of it ourselves. I don't know. What do you guys think? Post what you think down below, and we'll have a conversation about it.
Right, but I can get behind not wanting a restricted list without seeing how the meta's playing out. And for the meta to play out, you need some events. You need something to get to base that on.
Right. You'll need
because you need more than just closed playtesting.
And we'll get to event structure here in a little bit.
I think
don't get too far ahead on me.
Even one or two big events. You probably need more than 2 Koteis to really.
Okay, well, we'll get to that. Let's come back on that one. We'll circle back.
Sure.
Was there anything else in the state of LCGs that you guys thought was interesting? I know for me, it was nice to just see them admit there was a problem.
I think, the unicorn thing was nice. All right, they messed up with that. It got either undertuned, overtuned, whatever. It was not in the right place coming out of the beta testing report. It seems like because they have been dreadful, unplayable at a competitive level.
Agreed.
As a main clan, they're amazing as a splash.
They're fun. they're enjoyable-ish.
They're my second clan, and it was a very hard thematic choice from a guy who's played Bretonia, Big Knights, Cav guy. It was very hard not to play Unicorn.
And that's fair.
They just were in a terrible place from a competitive point of view. If you're a tournament player going to a big event, it's extremely hard to play them because you're going in knowing you're not going to win.
And that's fair. FFG, if you guys watch this, just know we love you guys, but Unicorn it just feels empty. It feels
right. And from what we've seen so far, I'm very excited to see where they're going because I think they're going to a very good place.
I was a little surprised to see a lion stronghold in the first pack and not a unicorn stronghold.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was a little surprised to see that, to be very honest. And as a lion player, you got to think.
But I think lion also
needed
was kind
almost as much.
Lion wasn't down there with unicorn, but they were the next thing. They kind of have fallen pretty far from when they was.
Yes.
The first
They're
cycle
in the
was
bottom
not.
half.
The
I
first
think
cycle
everyone
Easily.
would agree.
The first
Easily.
cycle was not kind to them.
No,
Yeah.
the Imperial cycle was not.
Policy debate was just an
Oppressive.
awful card.
I
It was-
think the restricted list helped a lot, and I think Lion and Unicorn are both going to be in a much better position. Because the developers have also said that the new cycle coming out is the first cycle they worked on after releasing the game.
Correct. So it's good to
So
see.
they're going to have seen the response of how weak some of these clans are. And
absolutely.
I think
the other
they're going to
problem
put
is,
in
though,
some really strong cards
with
for
that
them.
is how far ahead they have to plan these cycles because of printing issues. FFG is not a company on like the size of Wizards.
Yeah.
You have to. They have to have things in print multiple months ahead of time.
6
So it
months
is.
plus in advance.
It is harder.
Development
It is harder.
cycles
You
make
have
this harder.
The development cycles, and you do have to do the playtesting early, and you do have to be aware that it is a lot harder compared to like maybe Magic or something to get the balance to fix some of the things because you're doing it without knowing exactly what the meta is going to be.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about one more elephant in the room real quick. For a lot of people, they are not fans of the 6 packs in 6 weeks. So real quick, we're not going to dive real deep into this one. We know a lot of people are split. I personally love 6 packs in 6 weeks. I hate it in Conquest at times when I'd get a new warlord at the beginning of a cycle. Like Sloan in Conquest was a dark elf who I got an awesome set of cards in the first pack, and then literally the cards I needed to make the deck function
5 or
properly
6.
were in packs 5 and 6. And it gets very frustrating to wait 5 to 6 months to be able to play something you're so excited about.
Or for something extremely strong to come out in the first pack. Like, even in Elemental Cycle, we got Kotei in the first pack.
In Imperial, right.
In Imperial Cycle, sorry. I mean, and as a Conquest player, this happens. This was definitely there. You get something strong for somebody in the first pack, and there are answers to it in the pack, but they're in pack 5 or
Right.
pack 6. So now, with the 1 pack a month, you have 5 months of having that character just tear apart the meta because the card that balances it isn't out.
You know, on the same term, I get the argument against 6 packs in 6 weeks. It kills the wallet. It's kind of goes against the whole buy-in idea of LCGs, where it's like a slow trickle. Where this is a lot of money real quick. I mean, this is $90
Yeah.
Right.
in
As
a month and a half, and I get some people's reservations.
Coming from Star Wars Destiny, and playing some CCGs back in the day, or CCGs back in the day, I like it because it's a big infusion right at once. It makes a brand new meta right away for you to solve and experiment with. But I definitely can see the other way. If people, I mean, it's the same $90 you're paying either way.
Right.
And
If you don't play the game competitively, I
not
think
gonna
the
like it.
slower trickle is better for you. If you are the type of person that's not gonna buy all 6 packs in a cycle, and you only play one deck, and you see, I want this 1 or 2
Right.
cards that they added, you might buy 1 or 2 packs.
You're playing
out
it
of
more
the
as like
cycle.
a board game model.
It's a
Right.
cheese and crackers
Right.
game.
If this is you with your friends, then I can understand the fast release cycle feeling prohibitive, like you're not getting the full game without getting all of the stuff that's coming out. So I understand both sides.
I almost would just like them to see a deluxe box instead of the cycle almost, and just do the entire cycle
in a singular box. Kind of like Arkham, right? Or Lord of the Rings. They don't do packs anymore.
They do. They do a
do?
deluxe.
Okay.
So their cycles are always a deluxe box to start, and then the 6 packs
Oh.
on the monthly release.
Maybe that would be neat.
For Lord of the Rings, it works, and for Arkham, it works. I play Arkham a lot, and it
Right.
works because it basically gives you like 2 or 3 scenarios in the box, and then the rest of the story month to month breakdown. for the scenario.
I think having them spread out has got to probably be better for sales. Anyone who's going to buy up the box of it is going to buy all 6.
And see, here's the thing. You say that.
But people who might not want to buy all the packs aren't going to want to drop $80 or $90.
And that's fair, but the 6 packs in 6 weeks, I mean, financially, they blew it up with that. I mean, it was great for them.
It's just a popular game, I think.
Right,
and
there's
that
also
might
the
have a lot
argument
to do with it.
You get the hype up, and you get everybody to buy everything when the hype's up.
Yeah.
And FFG's always said
they are the Flavor Flav of card games. They get the hype rolling.
They also still make most of their money off the game on core sets.
Yes, I don't doubt that.
On the people who go buy one core set, and that's it. That's still a large portion. It's why we still see the core sets for competitive side where they don't put all the cards in because it keeps the cost down for the people who are playing it on a casual thing. And
absolutely.
As a competitive player, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I was as a Lion Clan member, like I bleed burnt orange. I was buying into this game no matter what. So, thanks guys. Glad to know that you could take my money so easily. All right, so I don't really think we've got anything else on the state of all CGs, right?
I think the new stuff is putting the game back into a good place. Like I said, we had the downtime. And
the restricted list and the 6 cycles.
The Phoenix pack,
6 packs in 6 weeks.
The 6 packs is going to shake up the meta, and then we'll have that summer into early fall where you'll have people know what the second roll is for Worlds for the people going, so they'll have a few months to experiment with new decks potentially, especially if you're going to a new role, getting Seeker instead of Keeper or vice versa.
Yep.
And then you're going to have the Scorpion pack come out in October, so that's going to give another little meta hit right before Worlds if it comes out early in October.
Yeah.
You might see some really crazy. Gen Con's going to be really wild, and Worlds could potentially be interesting.
So, off of that, we're going to go ahead and talk about the new Stronghold Kit Season 2. I, as a Lion player, love it. It's pretty cool. I want that map. I don't care what anyone says.
And the Lion Honor tokens?
I have those. I have 2 sets of those.
Yay, eBay.
Thanks, eBay. But, I mean, I love the store level events.
Yeah, they're great. And
FYI, Island Games, July 6th, we're holding an event. We'll be recording, posting up games. Come visit us. And, if you live on the East Coast, Chantilly, Virginia is hopefully not too far. Come visit the DC area. But, and thank you, Island Games, for hosting us today and letting us use your facilities. It's been awesome. Thank you very much. But overall on the Stronghold kits, I think they're great. I love the support that they give.
Yeah, I like the 3-month kits.
I do too.
I'm glad this one came out on time because we did have the delay.
Yes.
We had a 2 or 3 month delay with the first one.
Yes.
It did not come out when we originally thought it was going to be, and
it hurt.
I think that also was part of the thing. We had that 4-month gap, and I think the OP kits are a nice way to plug that because you got the social aspect with your local meta, and you have something you're playing for. Just the alt arts, which everybody, for the LCG, on the LCG model, the alt arts are kind of what you're playing.
Yeah, they're your prizes.
That is your big prizes.
Yeah,
and
the tokens,
the
mats.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all cool.
And they're nice, and everyone likes their swag.
Right, everyone loves swag, stuff
but
we all
the thing was,
get.
in the first set, we didn't have that because it didn't come out till April or May.
Right, it
was
hard
supposed to be out in February.
And it's interesting because have you read the document for them? There's multiple formats.
I did go over some of it, but I did not get the format. So
it's interesting because one is a set of 3 tournaments where you do 3 separate months of events. Another one is a set of leagues.
Right,
where
the 12-week.
The 12-week
and
leagues.
Those were in the first set.
Right, those are both still in there. But there's a third one called the Shogun Challenge. And in my opinion, they should really take the Shogun Challenge and use that as and they've announced the Elemental Championships, I believe is what they're going to call them.
I think I've heard mention of it, but I don't recall them going into much detail.
Right, there's not a lot of detail out right now. If you guys know, please, let us know down below.
Yeah.
But I think the Shogun level events should be something that Stronghold kit stores do once every third of a year and report the results into FFG and use that as a middle of between your store level events and your Koteis, use that as the in-between, because a lot of people don't, have the issue with Koteis due to the con barrier.
Right.
And that's a valid thing, and this would be a fun way and an interesting way to try to keep the con events in the con circuit, but adding more.
It also, I like the choices. I like how FFG is presenting this, and again, with the old game, the story was a big part of the longevity of the game, and what really drew people to the game and kept them in the game for a long time. I like that from what I saw in the old game, it definitely was a little looser with how the story choices were made, and the players had a lot more input. And I think it's good that FFG is keeping
a little tighter,
a tighter grip on
closer to the
where
chest.
things are going, and we're not getting the crab elephant.
We don't need creatures as champions unless it's Togashi. I will have a dragon champion all day.
Spoiler alert. But so as a tournament player, I'm fine with that, because I will go travel to conventions, and I will put aside money and time to go do that. But you have more casual people who also are big fans of it, who maybe don't have the extra time or don't have the will, who just don't like playing the game at that.
Even younger players, people on a budget. Getting to a con is expensive.
It is, or you have the people who just don't enjoy playing at a more serious competitive level. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with everyone's entitled to play the game how they want, and there's good to play it that way. So if you did do something like this more at the local level, it gives people, it lets people feel like they have more input onto what's going on in the story and what's going on with the game itself, instead of just being at the mercy of the people who do go to the events.
Right, and it's nice because everyone complains about the role selection. I don't want to get stuck with something some stranger decided, right? But this idea
I was quite happy with it.
Yeah, but this idea that you could do events and tally the results from everyone, so everyone has an equal input.
Right, and even what they did with the current Stronghold kit, where top 4 got votes for the next kit, that was kind of cool.
That was neat.
It was neat. It's ultimately
thanks for voting, Lion.
And ultimately everyone's going to get it, but it gives you a feeling you have a little input.
Absolutely. How's your feeling?
I like them. All the formats are good, and I don't think there's really anything negative to say
about anything else.
If you're a competitive player and you like doing even the local stores or Koteis or anything in between, I think they're all good options, and like them all.
I would like to see. I think it's a valid complaint, especially in the U.S. versus the Euro Koteis, because I think a lot of the European Koteis outside of, and I may be wrong, but I think outside of UK Games Expo,
which is comparable to Gen Con.
It's basically Euro Gen Con.
As far as we understand, again, please correct us down below.
From what I've heard from Discord and whatnot, it's not on Gen Con scale, but it's the closest thing Europe has to Gen Con for a gaming convention.
And that's fair.
Most of the European Koteis have been a standalone event. It's just, that's it. You're going to a Kotei. You're going to a Kotei, which keeps the cost down because you're not buying a convention ticket on top of everything else. You're probably saving on parking because, again, you're not going to a giant convention where you have to things. It's just reduces the cost, and a lot of people I know have said they're not going because in the U.S., on the other hand, it's a lot of almost every Kotei. I think every Kotei, for the most part, has been associated with a convention of some sort.
The Houston, Texas Kotei coming up actually will be one not associated with the convention. So I am curious to see its turnout.
Right?
I believe so. I think it's the one that was pushed back from another event.
January or February, and it got pushed.
If I'm not mistaken. We were actually about to get onto that. So we're going to do a quick recap with you guys. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, I am a judge with Cascade Games. I am a head marshal, and I recently worked at the MomoCon Kotei and the Origins Ohio Kotei. And before we get started, I'm not going to give a whole bunch of opinions on this one because I ran it. It's a little hard for me to stay impartial. But I will say thank you to everyone who came out and everyone that played. We had a great time. 43 players. Unfortunately, we wanted to get some more people, and we putting up the clan breakdowns on the board right now for you.
Also, the midweek Kotei was kind of
I think
rough
the
for some
Thursday,
people.
but Origins was a scheduling nightmare from what I understand,
Sure.
and it made it very difficult.
But having gone to Origins before for other, like when the year FFG did the U.S. Championships at Origins
For Conquest, we were all there.
Conquest for Armada, I played at Armada as well. And the Armada one was a Wednesday, and Netrunner was earlier in the week. X-Wing was all week long. So
Maybe it's the Origins way.
It's Origins is a 5-day con, so it's gonna get spread
As
out.
someone who worked at it, I can tell you
And
the 5 days is hard.
They were also running every game's U.S. Championships there.
Yeah, and I mean this year,
Yeah.
Cascade only had a certain amount of space. So, you have to be equitable with all the games, even though I love L5R and I think it should be taking the most space every day. I bet the X-Wing players don't agree with me. So, we're going to do a quick breakdown of the Origins Kotei. What do you guys think of the player turnout? We had 3 Lion, 2 Unicorn. You can't actually see their numeric numbers. But overall, again, a little disappointed. I would have really liked 60 people. I think that minimum, I would have had 20 more people if we would have had it on Saturday.
Yeah. I can see that.
So,
And
but
Thursday's hard for people
the
to get off
time
work sometimes.
and it being past the badge costs also. If you're just an L5R player and you're not so much into all the rest of the con stuff, it's a pretty hefty price to go if the only thing you're trying to do is the L5R tournament.
it is.
So I think that's a little prohibitive. And it's not as big of a con as some, Gen Con or some of the others might be.
Kind of like Gen Con Lite.
It's like the third largest tabletop convention in the country.
Right.
So
But after Gen Con, everything's Gen Con Lite.
It's
because
very true.
nothing's going to feel like Gen Con.
Gen Con, PAX Unplugged, Origins. Those are kind of your 3.
Was it PAX for 2? Were they the second largest?
They're growing.
Yeah.
I know at the
well,
very
PAX
least.
as a whole is massive. So.
And real quick, I want to give a shout out to Anil Mind's Desire.
Yeah.
Great job on winning, man. You played a great set of games and did not have a more deserving person that day. And Travis, great job on making it to the finals. You two broke the meta. No crab or scorpion in the finals. So that's pretty impressive, not going to lie.
Not going to be popular out here.
Nah,
As
not.
a crab and scorpion.
Yeah, I'm having to separate them.
I'm happy to see 2 of the lesser winning clans both be in finals.
Well, lesser
Everyone
winning
was
is
lesser
everybody
winning.
but crab and scorpion,
Lion,
my friend.
Lion has worlds.
You're right. Lion
That's
won
what
worlds.
I mean when I say
woot,
that.
Woot.
But yeah, for Mind's Desire on Discord, he's a fantastic player. So I have not had the privilege of playing him, but he's a good guy.
I can tell you in just some conversations with him, he's a pleasure to chat with. So we're going to move on real quick. We're going to circle back to talk about both. But the Bologna Kotei was also this past weekend. None of us even realized that was going down. So
I forgot
apologize to you
I
guys.
forgot to check it over the weekend.
Yeah, a lot of us, catching up on this one a little bit after the fact. It being the same weekend as Origins made it harder for me to keep up with. Overall on this one, the attendance for a Euro Kotei, I guess, is low. But overall, it's not a bad attended Kotei. And again, Dragon took this one too. And I think that's pretty impressive. His name was Ralph, if I'm not mistaken. And he did a great job. And I apologize. The Scorpion player who was in the finals against him, I don't want to butcher your name, sir, so I'm not going to. But congratulations to both of you for making it that
Mr.
far.
Romanowski.
Yes, Mr. Romanowski. Sorry. But we want to, just give a great shout out to you guys. Our winners and finalists of these events are typically the strength of play come the Daimyo stage is typically so high.
Yeah,
And
Top Cut's
it's
always pretty good.
it's so impressive to be a winner at that level. That, I mean, you had to play game after game after game to do that well. So, great job overall, guys. Definitely, think that we could see a trend coming in the winners right now. It's interesting. Do you guys think that there's a reason Dragon was able to take both this weekend? Do you think the restricted list had a lot to do with it? What's your thoughts on it?
I think definitely. I think the restricted list was a big part of it. It didn't hurt Dragon as much as it hurt Scorpion and Crab.
Which is interesting because a lot of people thought it would with Fury and Pathfinders on it.
Crab didn't get touched. Crab doesn't care about the restricted list. We were happy to see it because everybody else got it.
I mean, Iron Minds and Charge.
Charge is fine. We lose Charge.
Like, we lost policy debate.
Scorpion
everybody
did, yeah.
lost policy debate. So
Lion lost for greater glory in Charge. I miss you, combos.
But,
everybody lost policy debate, and
Charge.
For most people, it's a net win. Because
for me, it's a net win.
It's a hand protection.
Yeah.
But I think Dragon showing their strength now is due to the restricted list. I think it just helped them.
I actually feel Dragon was probably the hardest hit by the restricted list.
I think
they lost
Scorpion.
9-12. I think Scorpion got off easy. Scorpion, I don't think Scorpion cared. They just changed their splash. They're now Splash and Crane or
I dropped
Phoenix.
a lot. I dropped policy debates. I dropped charges.
I mean, if you look at Slisky's list from UK that he won UK Expo with,
Well, I mean,
it's
he
still
is
good.
an amazing player.
when you're going 32 or 33-1 in
it's
Kotei.
still strong.
Yeah. That's a guy you should watch out for.
See him at Worlds.
See him at Worlds, team.
I think the restricted list in my opinion, the top 3 clans have been Scorpion, Crab, and Dragon, and I think the restricted list hurt Scorpion and Crab more than it did Dragon. So we're gonna see Dragon at the top now.
I think that Dragon have a better game against Scorpion and a worse game against Crab, but I think that they still just do real well. It's interesting. They do a good job.
Yeah.
The Dragon, I can tell you, Mind's Desire.
He plays a lot. I see him online.
He plays a lot, really good. Mr. Romanowski, that's what we're going to refer to you as, sir. I have no doubt that he puts in his practice. I mean, you have to at this stage, right? You just have to. But so, you guys tell us what you think of the Kotei's season so far, your opinions on it down below, and, we're going to move right on to our next story for the upcoming events. So, guys, we have 4 upcoming Koteis. If I believe correctly, it's to finish the Toshi Rambo season.
Yeah, John wraps it up.
Yeah, so we have 2 grand Koteis coming up. We have the Cascade Games Day out in Seattle, Washington, and Gen Con Indy. I know we're all prepping for Gen Con Indy, trying to get set, trying to settle deck lists. We're going to play here in a little bit, knock out some games, see how much practice we can get in.
Gen Con will be fun.
Gen Con will be a blast. FYI, we are trying to set up going out one of the nights as a big community. So if you see me at Gen Con, come talk to me and we'll set it up.
Also, just a quick plug to some people on Discord. Make sure if you are on Discord, you check in your clan chats because a lot of people already have the clan meetups organized. So
I know the Lion Clans at the Mikado.
Yeah, check in with people. A lot of the channels have them pinned, or at least can point you who's organizing them. And there are, I think, almost all of them are already organized. So make sure if you're interested in that, to talk to people because they will point you where to go.
Want to give everybody who's doing the clan dinner organization a huge thank you. You guys are one of the main things that help drive our community, and these meetups, these videos that people post online, the plays, everything, it's a community that, for myself, I can tell you, means more than any other community I've been a part of. So,
right. And that's also why I'm looking forward to Gen Con, because, the competitive aspect's great, and I'm looking forward to the tournament, but getting to see a lot of the people who met at last Gen Con from L5R or at Worlds, PAX, a lot of the people in the community, it's just the social aspect's really important.
That's
and
where
I'm
it's
really
at.
looking forward to that.
And we have 2 regular Koteis left. We have the Anime Expo out in Los Angeles, California coming up. And we have the Houston, Texas Galactic Qualifier. That's the one we were mentioning earlier that does not have a convention associated to it. So if you guys are a part of the movement to get more Koteis at non-convention locations, please do everything you can to go out to that one. Show Cascade, show FFG that that's what you want, and you do that by putting your dollars in that place. All right, and those are going to be the final 4 events coming up for the Kotei season, the Toshi Rambo season. Right now, I think that you've got 4 clans who really have legitimate shots. All of them can take home victories at these 4, and I think I would not be surprised. Honestly, anybody but Unicorn and Lion I have as a true possible winner. Of any of these 4 events. So I'll say the 5 other clans. I think Crane has some hard matchups. I think that they're the one that, in my opinion, has the most bad matchups in the field. But I do think that Phoenix has almost the same number of bad matchups. So I think Scorpion and Dragon have the fewest number of bad matchups. And to me, Crab is, if you piloted by good players, Crab is one of the strongest decks I've seen in a card game in a long time. So that's kind of my predictions. Where you guys fall?
I predict either Dragon or Crab will probably see a lot of winners of those 2 clans over the next couple months.
So
I think there's a lot more event hate than there is attachment hate. So the attachment-focused clans are just going to be powerful for the foreseeable future. Yeah.
So my top 3, the 3 clans I think are tier 1 right now. I'm going to leave Dragon off this list only because we did see Dragon do really well in the past 2 weeks. But before that, we had this weird... Dragon was nowhere before that.
It's true.
So... I mean, we'll see. Dragon plays a very straightforward list, and if Dragon gets going fast, that's where Dragon can beat you. If you can slow them down, and Crab and Scorpion can be good at that, you can just outlast Dragon. But top 3 right now, the clans I think that are tier 1, I got Crane up there. I think Crane has an amazing early game, amazing mid game. So the amazing early game with the Weenie Rush, their 2 costers might be the best in the game. They're sweet. The mid game with political rival or guest of honor.
Okay.
Is just guest of honor is bonkers.
Guest of honor is probably one of the best 4 costs in the game.
Yoshi's a closer. Yoshi can win games.
Oh yeah, Yoshi
gets honored, then good luck dealing.
That guy
with Yoshi.
just slaps
Plus,
people with his fan.
The favor build up, just the card advantage just goes through the roof. So I like Crane. I think Crane I actually think they have a lot of good matchups there. I think for Crab they're one of the hardest matchups. I think it's fairly balanced in that game. Scorpion is also, I think, definitely still tier 1. I don't think the restricted list hit them anywhere nearly as hard as people thought it would. They're like, okay, we'll just not splash Dragon anymore.
And that's fair.
And we'll just go to Crane or Phoenix and do what we do. And it turns out Test of Skill is really good in Scorpion when you just can find Fate Worse and Death faster. Or Noble Sacrifice, as it turns out. I mean, you saw Jakob just double hit Pinter with that twice in the finals at UK Expo and beat him with it. I also would be remiss if I didn't say Crab was going to win Gen Con, and Crab is going to win Gen Con.
That's his Babe Ruth calling out the shot now.
I called PAX. Crab won PAX. I said Crab was winning PAX. Crab's going to win Gen Con.
Notice the Crab that won PAX. All right.
But I think Crab and Scorpion are the best dual pressure clans in the game right now. Dishonor, breaks, and I think Crab and Scorpion punish bad play more than any other clans in the game right now. You make a mistake, they will make you pay for it. And I think at least getting through Swiss that gets you through Swiss. And then in the cut, you have to beat your peers. So that's what it comes down to.
All right. So those are our predictions for the upcoming Koteis.
Crab.
And you just got crabbed. So that's the way of the crab. So overall, that is how we feel about the upcoming events, letting you guys know where they are, letting you know so you can start traveling. If you have any questions about their dates or anything like that, make sure you check out the FFG website. You'll be able to find everything you need there. In addition to that, I want to go ahead and do a brief shout out to the Imperial Advisor website. Thanks to them, we were able to pull a lot of this information to do this show today, and they are an awesome aggregate of all metadata information of L5R. So definitely do them a big favor and do yourselves a big favor and go check them out over at imperialadvisor.com. We're going to go ahead and move on to our final segment of the day, viewer questions. With this being our first episode, we actually don't have viewer questions yet. Big shocker. So, just so you guys know, if you have a question that you would like to see put on air, you just email us at kolatclub@gmail.com.
I'm assuming there will be a link below.
We're going to post a link below in the description. You'll be able to follow it there. But remember, that's kolatclub@gmail.com. We're going to answer today we're going to answer 3 frequently asked tournament questions. As a judge, I get them all the time. The first one that I find is asked a lot is, does Finger of Jade prevent covert? We all know the answer to this, right? The answer is yes. It prevents covert because covert is a keyword ability. With it being an ability, it's able to be stopped by Finger of Jade. That's the reason for it. If you have any questions, go ahead and go look up covert in the rulebook. You'll see the word ability in its description. Next, we're going to ask, how does Karmic Twist and Embrace the Void interact? If you have Embraced the Void on a character with Fate on them, and I play Karmic Twist and move that Fate is not moved to the other character. It's instead moved all of it to the Fate pool. So it's a really neat combo trick if you're trying to take a lot of money off of a heavily invested character, specifically 5-costers that you see your opponent play.
And that's going to work with any Fate movement.
Any Fate movement.
Feast or Famine, meditations.
Correct. Finally, the number one question that seems to confuse the heck out of people is, can Togashi Yunkai use abilities he has copied if he has Cloud the Mind attached to him? The answer is yes, because the copied abilities are not in his text box, or not a part of his printed text box, therefore unaffected by Cloud the Mind. It's very similar to, can he copy abilities on characters who have Cloud the Mind attached? The answer is yes. Similar strain of thought, and that's how you'd work through that. But those are going to be the 3 frequently asked questions that I typically find at events. And with that, we want to say thank you for, visiting and watching our show today here at Rokutalk. We're the Kolatclub. Again, I'm Ryan Rocket. I'm a double Ryan Hatamoto. You guys can find me working most of the Cascade Games Koteis and Grand Koteis on the East Coast. Anytime you see me, come say hey. I love making new friends, and I will be at Gen Con Indy coming up soon. Steven, where can they find you?
Again, I'll be at a few Koteis a year. I will be at Gen Con. Look for the hat. Come say hi. If you want to talk crab or anything else L5R related, you can also find me on Discord. On the L5R Discord, my handle is Hatamoto Hida Spectre.
Awesome. And Alex, where can they find you?
I'll also be at Gen Con as well. Hopefully Worlds too, but we'll see. I'm on Jigoku a lot. Gareth86 is my handle there. And yeah, I'm not really a part of the Discord community. I'm not active there anyway.
Not yet. We'll get there.
Maybe. But yeah, I'm on Jigoku and most of the big Koteis and Grand Koteis East Coast.
Awesome. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. And, remember to check us out next time. We'll post up when we're going to put our next video. Remember, you can submit your questions to kolatclub@gmail.com. And thanks again. You guys have a good one. Bye.